All right, welcome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our February 2026 State TA Day call. Very nice to see everyone today. We are going to kick it off today with Rebecca Blashin, giving a little update on the funding freeze and where we're at.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. For those of you who haven't met, I'm Rebecca Vlashine. I help support the Workforce Division as the director. And I was asked to come today to speak a little bit to the funding freeze. We have good news to share, if you haven't heard yet, that the department received a preliminary injunction, which means that we can continue drawing down spending and awarding to providers QI funding. So it's very important that if you all have any questions about this, that we can talk them through, because we want the funding to get out there. We want as many providers as possible to receive the QI funds. And we know it's really, a tricky time because you weren't 100% sure if we were going to be able to get reimbursed, but we are. This preliminary injunction will continue at least through the end of May. And, we're very hopeful that beyond that as well. We've had no issues with drawing down our funds. So we've been, able to get invoices submitted, get the funding as quickly as possible. And so we want to continue that. So as soon as possible each month, our team is going in to make sure we approve those invoices right away so that we can get the funding out. We will add to the chat the fact sheet, but it's the same link that you all have been using. We're just updating that as we go. So I'll just share my screen real quickly to remind you all what it looks like and to let you know that the updates are all in yellow. So it's easy to see when you go in each time, what is the latest that we know from the department. So you can see here that it talks about the funding being fine. We don't anticipate an impact until after May 31st. And then let's slide down here to the next update. This is more info about the preliminary injunction. So if you want to link to it, actually read it, understand from your lens all that is in there, we want to be able to do that. And I see your comment, Julia, and just know that I know the team's working on it as quickly as possible to reconcile anything that is coming in on those invoices. We really are prioritizing that. But again, if you feel like things need to move more quickly, let us know. Sometimes things aren't aligning exactly, and we have to do all of our checks. I don't know if that's the situation in your case, but that's probably, if there's a delay, that's probably what it is. We've got 15 disbursements, as I mentioned, as of February 9th. We are putting in reimbursement requests regularly, so we don't see any impacts there. This is just letting you know that if for some reason we have additional issues that come up, it won't impact us until at least May 31st. And again, we would give you plenty of warning if we anticipate that that might be happening. Okay, I think that's it. The rest is just in Spanish for those of you who want to make sure you can share this with your Spanish-speaking community. I would love to open it up if there are other questions. Yeah, Mary Lynn.
I'm concerned, I guess kind of two questions. I have somebody who hasn't really gotten going on their minor improvement grant. So this is a CCAP particular program, which I'm guessing is maybe more vulnerable from a federal standpoint. So when should I advise them to have all their paperwork in, so that, is it that you as CDEC need to have it paid back to the council by May 31st? So it's like you guys get 45 days and then we take 2 weeks. So they really need to have this done in April kind of thing? Or what do you advise?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really kind of nuanced question, because these are all based on kind of estimates of funding. So it is possible that we would still have funding that we could flow out after May 31st. So I think it's hard to answer your specific question, but because it is also kind of a ways out. However, what I can say is that we want everyone to do business as usual. So I would say have them complete the process at the pace that they can, as quickly as they can, but also, recognizing that it could be helpful for them to get all of that in earlier. So I don't know if you want to talk more with your QI coordinator specifically about that, but we're just really asking for business as usual, because for funds that don't get spent, if we get to the end of the fiscal year, as you all know, the Joint Budget Committee has to make really tough decisions every budget season. And so if we're leaving funding on the table, we don't want it to be at risk to get allocated somewhere else. So I know that puts us all in a tough spot, but I would just encourage business as usual and as quickly as possible, as Lilith put in.
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah.
it sounds like for coaching as well, it's okay for them to coach on May 31st and then hope that we'll get reimbursed.
I would keep planning for that. I would keep
Okay.
planning trainings, keep planning coaching. We will absolutely let you all know if we see something different emerging, and then you can make adjustments as needed at that point. But for now, it's all a green light.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I just want to say again how much we appreciate your partnership here. We know it is tricky and it's hard to communicate sometimes around these types of situations where we don't have all the answers. So thank you for your support in getting the messaging out there and for the work that you're doing on the ground to balance this for providers. And keep us informed of what you hear, and we'll try to be as responsive as possible to you as well. Okay, Charlie, I think I'll pass it back to you, but I'll stay on for a while if other folks have questions.
Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, this is very exciting news, and we appreciate everyone keeping up with the back and forth. And, no, it's not ideal, but we're making it work like we always do. All right, Alyssa, welcome.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Alyssa Pappas here. I am presenting today on behalf of the Division of Local Affairs, DOLA, and their partner, Colorado Epic, Executives Partnering to Invest in Children. The application is open for the next child care technical assistance cohort. The cohort is going to be meeting from April through June of 2026 and is designed for local governments, developers, public schools, institutes of higher education, and child care providers who have a child care facility project in the planning phase. Participants will receive support to navigate that planning process. New for this cohort, which is the third cohort of this program, DOLA is going to be considering applications from partners who would like to expand their knowledge to support eligible recipients with the development of child care facilities, but who may not actively be overseeing a child care facility project. For example, early childhood councils or local governments. And these applicants will be considered as space allows. Those who do have a specific child care facility development project in the planning phase will continue to be prioritized for the cohort. Applications are closing March 2nd, 2026 at 5 p.m. And I will navigate here to share my screen. I'm going to share this link, but on this child care facility development toolkit page, you'll just scroll down below the sessions and webinar recording resources that they have, and that's where you'll find the technical assistant cohort assistance cohort application and the button to apply. So we hope to see some of you there. And if you have any questions, the contacts for questions is at the bottom. That is Aaron McNabb or Matt Long, both at DOLA. So please check it out. And then I wanted to share one more opportunity with you all. Through the same program funding, there's an opportunity for direct support sessions for childcare facility projects. And these are 30-minute one-on-one technical assistance sessions for specific questions related to the development of childcare facilities with our partners, Epic. So you all are welcome to apply for those as well. So I'll put both of those links in the chat and the contact information again for Aaron and Matt, who can help you with any questions that you might have. Okay, thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Alyssa. Thanks for those valuable resources. Cool. All right, we are moving right along. Bonnie is going to talk to you all about scope of works and contracts for fiscal year 26-27.
All right. Hello, everyone. Yes. Let me share. I made the world's shortest presentation. It is a one-slide slideshow. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for your patience. I know I want to share my sincerest apologies because I know I had talked about a month ago about getting these statements of work out to you all, and it has taken longer than I anticipated. And I also understand the anxiety when you're getting statements of work from other programs, contracts, and you're like, what is happening here? So I want to thank you for your patience. The statement of work draft is going out after this meeting. I have it scheduled for 3 p.m. You are getting it today. So just want to make sure everyone is aware of that. Some things to keep in mind, and I know we've discussed this in prior meetings, but there's going to be one statement of work for all councils. So really, this is our opportunity to kind of negotiate that single statement of work. When you take a look at it, it might be shocking, but it is in a new format and there is no table. It is just words. So just be aware, that's what it's going to look like. Some things I want you to really dig into. We added some just basic administrative deliverables, communication plans, closeout plans, business continuity plans. These are all things your council should probably already have. I'm not requiring any templates for those deliverables. Provide them to us in a format that works best for your organization, your community. But I just want to highlight kind of those things that you'll see that are different. I also added in some more specific requirements from our end, like how CDEC is required to communicate with you in the event. For example, Charlie's going to present later on how we're working with our GAE this fiscal year. I want to make sure that when we're communicating those things with you all, that it's very specific, that you know, oh, this is an email I need to really pay attention to. So take a look at those things as well. Keep in mind, this is a draft right now. So I am asking for your guys' feedback. Nothing in it is 100% set in stone. So keep that in mind as you're reading it. Have an open mind. And then I'm requesting feedback is due in 2 weeks from today. So by close of business on Thursday, March 12th. I know that our timelines are tight for contracts. So we're also working on our budget allocations at the same time. And I know also it's really difficult to look at it as statement of work when you don't have the budget allocation. So as soon as we have those ready to go for you, we're going to send those out along with your other contract documents that will be the same: budgets, vendor contact information sheets. So just keep in mind those are on their way as well. And yeah, in full transparency, I also want to let you know that I am going to be going out of town during part of this period. So if you have a lot of questions, please reach out to me in the next week. But I want to make sure you have the full 2 weeks to provide feedback to us. And if the best thing for you to do is to download this document, send me back a fully redlined version, have your legal counsel look at it and have them send me back a fully redlined version, that's fine. I just ask that those are done by the 12th. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Marilyn.
So for our quarterly, third quarter reporting, which would be due April 7th, do we use this new statement of work?
No. So this will be effective July 1 with the new contracts.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And I also want to acknowledge that while I can't talk about legislation that's happening, there is legislation happening. So if we have to change some wording, that may occur. But like the meat of the statement of work will remain the same.
Thank you.
It's hard to wait until 3 o'clock.
I know, but I felt like if I shared it now,
Oh.
Lisa, then you guys would just start
I
reading
know.
it.
No, I know. Why you're
Presentations.
waiting, because we would all be doing that and not paying attention. So I'm just saying, like, I'm sitting on my hands waiting until 3.
All right. If there isn't anything else, we can move on, but I will include my one slide slideshow in the agenda. So you guys have my email, and then also you'll get it with the email this afternoon. All right. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Bonnie. No, Bonnie has been working really hard on this. I promise the intention is to make your lives easier. And I am thinking that it is going to, yeah, I mean, the back and forth that we usually have with Scope of Works, it's usually not like the content, it's usually the formatting or the specifics that finance is looking for that come with all of those tables and things like that that would take the time along the way. So I think eliminating those, it's actually, it'll be a little bit of an adjustment, but in the long run, it'll be really wonderful. Ooh, okay, my turn. Okay. Been having fun with Gemini. Like my emojis, I like my Gemini. A man of the 21st century. So I'm just going to be given a few updates that aren't necessarily connected to each other, but I just put them all in one PowerPoint. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so here's our agenda. I'm going to talk about the interim rating, give a little update on that. I'm going to talk about GAA funding and give a little update on that. Don't worry, it's not bad news. And then I'm just have a little plug here for a classroom versus session reminder for when supporting programs. Okay, so I know I've been talking to my councils about this during our check-ins, but just to give you a little update on the direction that we're looking at for the interim rating. This is subject to change, but just so you all know, this is kind of the direction that we are moving forward. So this is just for the interim rating starting on July 1st, although we probably won't be accepting applications for the rating until August 1st. So the interim rating is going to be documentation only, no observation. Self-assessment is still part of documentation. It won't be required, but it is still part of that documentation in our evidence guide. So if you had been preparing to do class or a program is expecting a class observation, they'll still receive points for it the same way that they would in the current rating through the points guide. Through documentation uploads. So please prepare programs by using our current evidence guide. So it's same as what we do now for our regular rating. There are a few, I think I looked at it today, there are about 8 points in there that are observable standards. So we'll be giving automatic earns for those points, and then reduce the amount of points needed to get from a level 2 to a level 3. So as a reminder, this is for level 2 to level 3 only. Programs who want to reach level 4 can apply using an alternative pathway. QI funding can be used for applying for an alternative pathway if that's the direction a program wants to go. So that's what we're thinking. We're trying to not disrupt the system and change as little as possible. We thought the best way to do that was just to the observation piece, and continue with the evidence guide with the notes that we already have and the knowledge that we already have to help programs go through that. Yes, questions, Diane.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah.
So my coaches tell me, I mean, like they have done the observations for our school district when they were going through an alternative, but they tell me that they are, I have to remember the exact terminology, something about they know how to do it, but they're not considered reliable, or there's something along those lines. Do you know what I'm talking about, Charlie?
Like certified versus reliable? Is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
that kind of thing.
Or they haven't been through the certification in
They have
over a
been through
year,
the
so they
certification.
okay.
Yeah, they
So yeah,
have been through
certified
the certification.
versus reliable. Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So when you say an alternative pathway, can coaches who are certified be part of that in doing the observations to get to a higher level, or is that really not going to be considered kosher?
I think that's a good recommendation that we could, if we're not using the ERS as the actual assessment that we use. The reason we left it out of the self-assessment, like as an option for the self-assessment, is because we use it for the rating anyway. But if we're not going to be using it for the rating, then I think I can't make the decision right here on the spot. But I think that it would make sense that we could allow for a certified observer to use an ERS like self-assessment as the self-assessment the program could earn points for in this case. Michelle, what's up?
So just to clarify, Diane, when we're talking about alternative pathways, we're talking about the national accreditations that are currently recognized in our system. Even though the coaches are certified in ERS, ERS is not currently used as part of a tool towards national accreditation at this time. But we do have multiple agencies, and we've got a new one that's coming in. I'm working on the application now, that are currently recognized in our system. And so that's kind of the choices that we're allowing. So that could be like NACCE accreditation, it could be NECPA accreditation, NAFCC, although they're only recognized as a level 3. So, but some family child care homes might prefer going through accreditation rather than going through and doing the documentation. They might want to go and do it another way. So that's kind of where we're talking about, where they could, if they're wanting to get it recognized as a level 4, they would have to go through and be recognized under one of our current accreditations that are accepted as an alternative pathway.
That's what I wanted to clarify, to see if those were, I mean, I knew the national ones were the ones you were talking about. I just didn't know if we could expand it in other ways during this this time.
Gotcha. Okay. So Lisa, you had a question?
Yeah. So with these alternative pathways, are people still going to be able to apply for an MOU with a council and get support in meeting these alternative pathway requirements? Or are they doing this completely outside of an MOU system? Or, I mean, I guess it could go either way, but are they able to pick an alternative pathway and still receive support from a council to get there through the MOU process?
Absolutely. And I would highly recommend it. Just make sure that the coach is familiar with the accreditation that they're trying to go through and those standards.
And with that being said, are we able to, I mean, I know some of them, but you're saying that are currently recognized in your system. So I don't know all of them that are currently recognized. Can we have a list of that now, just so we can start looking at those and maybe getting prepared?
Absolutely, absolutely. They are all currently listed on our website
Okay,
under the alternative pathway, so you can see which ones are currently being accepted.
Great.
So, and then as soon as we have the new one, we'll post that as soon as we can. Okay?
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, Lisa, I just posted a link in the chat. So under question 5, it has a list of currently recognized alternative pathways. Any other interim rating questions? If you ever have any, reach out. All right. GA funding. So just a reminder, unallocated funding was pooled on 220, not 225 last week. I don't know why I put that date. Or maybe it was the 15th. I don't know. It was pulled about a week ago. So any unallocated funding we pulled, it was about $150,000 total that we were able to pool. We are going to be pulling any other, like the remainder of any other unused funding again in March. Just a reminder that if you have situations come up, like for example, if we went and we pulled all your funds, but then a program, was experiencing hardship or like really needed a coach or a training or something like that, never hesitate to ask us. We can't always say yes, but we can always do our very best to accommodate and to support programs who are in situations like that. So just a reminder to reach out as those things come up. So what we're going to be asking is by Friday, March 13th, please transfer all unused funds to your council's TSQI or ESQI funding stream. So anything that is not going to be spent, please transfer it. We're at the point of the year where we are recommending to not be ordering materials really at this point on, maybe 1 week into March, but the further out we get, we all know how things get with delays, things that are missed and then can't come. And, we would highly recommend to start curbing the ordering of materials now, if at all possible. So depending on how much funding we have available after that pool, we'll be able to either redistribute funds to councils who might need it, or put funding toward additional assessment certifications. And I know at the last QI funding office hours, this question came up and it was requested to maybe be able to move funds from a council using them to a council who might need them. So we are open to that. We just need to see how much funding we have available to see if that's a viable option. We're also still possibly looking into a way to do a larger class certification here for coaches who might need it. So that's another way that we're considering spending this extra funding. So that was, okay. Yes, on to Loris.
Hi, Charlie.
Hey.
So I have a Waldorf school in my area, and they are asking about a Lifeways program training for their staff. How do I determine if that is allowed as a spending request for?
You probably have to look at the curriculum and everything, and then it would definitely have to be linked to their QIP if it was covering something that, that they were working to focus on. But we don't really have like a standard process for this is an approved training versus an unapproved training. As long as it aligns with the goals in their QIP, my guess is that it would be allowable.
Okay.
But yeah, I would, next time you with Lilith, you guys can look at it and if you have any hesitation, you can make sure that everything looks good.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So if you or your coaching team is interested in class certification or ERS certification or utilizing some of that extra funding that we were able to pull, that 150K, please email Sarah Roberts. Her email's here. It can be used for the professional development itself, as well as lodging, materials, reflective supervision, consultation. I know folks used it to like travel to the ERS conference, or, you know, even if the conference isn't in state. So something to consider. We do have some extra funding to do that. We'll be able to begin distributing funding after 3/15. And so as long as you start the training before 6/30/26, then you're still going to be okay to receive that funding, even if the training goes from like the 30th through the beginning of July. I linked to our business rules here for the coaching GAE. So if you have any additional questions, you can look here and it'll tell you exactly more specifically what is allowed and what's not. But just remember that all spending is going all spending has to be spent and trainings have to start on or before 6/30/26. So hopefully this helps, and you know, find some opportunities for training and certification, and hoping it supports your teams. Yes, Lisa.
Quick question for the whole group. Does anybody know if the BASS training is coming anytime soon? It's one that we've been looking into, but have not been able to find any information about upcoming opportunities. Okay, my guess is you haven't either. All right, thanks.
It's really expensive to bring it out here, but maybe it's something to send folks to. Oh, wow. Geez. 30K. Well, if there's a lot of people interested in BASS, email Sarah Roberts. And if there's 30K worth of people, maybe we could bring them out here. But yeah, you could send someone to Chicago with this funding for sure for BASS certification. That'd be a really wonderful use of this funding. And Chicago's lovely in the spring. All right. So yeah, no, it would be nice to bring them out here to do an actual training here. All right. Any other questions on GAE funding? Okay, moving on to my last section. Just a little reminder here. We've been running into some issues with classroom versus session during the rating in particular, but just a reminder to everybody because it can get awful confusing. So the classroom on an application, that's the physical space. A session is the group of children in the space. So you might have classroom 10 as the classroom, and you might have a 10 Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and a 10 Tuesday, Thursday, because it's different groups of kids. Or you might have a 10 a.m. session from 8 to noon, and then a 10 p.m. session from 1 to 4 or whatever. So classrooms are editable by licensing only. Providers are not able to touch any information in that classroom section, but a session is editable by the program. And every classroom needs at least one session. Oh, something else I wanted to say about that is for things like rec room or, you know, like a resource room or something like that, or a school age room, licensing has a special designation for those classrooms where they should not be appearing on a QRIS application. So if you're seeing them on a program's QRIS application, please have them reach out to their licensing specialist. All right. So a few requests just to make everybody's life a little bit easier. Please work with providers to name sessions in a way that they can link back to their classroom name. So something like classroom 1 or preschool 1, or if it's just preschool, infant, and toddler, name it that. The cute names are great, but it can be really confusing when you have names that you're not sure the sessions where they're matching up with the classrooms. So we just ask that even if you have a cute name like, you know, the Goldilocks and the Three Bears room, start with classroom 1, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, to link it back to that original classroom 1. Just some way to link the session back to the classroom. Also, please make sure programs are not editing sessions during the rating window, because the rating and all of the ERS answers and everything like that are linked to the session. So if it changes in the middle of the rating window, then it creates quite a bit of chaos on the back end. So just those two asks that will make all processes exponentially easier. I think that was it. So any questions there? Hope you enjoyed my AI puppets. Yeah, any questions there? Oh, it's kind of random stuff all thrown together. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Anna Loris.
Amy, if you're talking, you're muted.
Amy.
Sorry. So in the rating window, you're talking about like when not when they've pushed the button and they're waiting for a rating, but if they're actually in that window where they're evaluating all the documentation, we can't edit it then, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
If
so
you are,
up until then. Okay, and so if we find out that a center has like several classrooms listed, but those classrooms aren't in session right now, or they're not used, or they don't have enough kids or whatever, do we contact licensing to get that changed? Or
no, you don't. Here, I can do a quick demo real quick. The program can mark that classroom as temporarily not in use.
okay, I know where that is. I
great.
know that, but I didn't know if maybe they're not going to open this classroom again, or if it's, I mean, I have some centers with like 8 classrooms showing. So I'm a little concerned that they're showing on their QRIS, but it's not actually what they're doing. So
I would default to licensing on that. I think it's something like after 6 months, if a classroom is not in use, then it would be officially closed, but I'm not exactly sure. So I would just have them
okay,
for a licensing specialist, but yeah, it sounds like that's too many
okay,
temporarily not used.
thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Lisa.
I know my team who's on here is probably like, Lisa, you don't know anything. And that's because they know everything and I just let them know everything. And so I ask questions that they know. One question I have, and I was just texting with Alicia, but with the MOU that's coming out for starting July 1st, is it still going to have a timeline that you need to rate within the same time period that it's always been, given the fact that we're in the middle of a refresh? And I know the refresh isn't going to last forever, but like, are there different timelines that will be in the MOU?
It's possible. I think right now, currently, the MOU talks about applying for a rating because, you know, the provider doesn't have 100% control about when they actually rate. So we need to review that and make sure that the information is actually accurate. And because we do want programs to continue to apply, and we don't want them to like entirely fall off. So we might be keeping that language in just to ensure that they're still working toward applying for the rating after the pause. So to be honest, we still need to dive into that, and yeah, we're gonna try to keep it as similar as it is to what it is right now. But my guess is we are going to be editing some language for the pause, just to make it make sense.
And we're still hoping to have like the MOU ready to go by June-ish.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. We don't want to delay any sort of QI funding. Anything else? Okay. I don't think Terry's on yet. So I'm wondering, are Leah and Eva on by any chance?
I'm here. Let me grab Eva real quick.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Let me catch up, computer.
The other option is to keep asking emoji questions for another
I
10
do
minutes.
love the emoji questions. I was really sad because I was on my phone and it does not give you the more emojis option when you're on your phone. So that was a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, that's criminal.
That's all good. So let me just ping her real quick. And so the way we had our slides set up, we'll go backwards to forwards, just like we do sometimes in EQIT, where we just kind of move through things in a different order to keep things exciting. So give me a sec to share my screen. And there we go.
Love that perspective. Thanks.
Gotta do it. So, hi everybody. It's been a minute. We are excited to be back and to be able to check in with you. We've had many big projects that we've been working on the first part of the year. One of our biggest things that we're most excited about is that we are running our Infant Toddler Specialist Foundations course, cohort 15, and we have a fully Spanish speaking track. And so we have an English track with 10 or 12 students, and then we have our Spanish track with 10 students and 2 Spanish speaking instructors. So they're receiving their materials in Spanish, they're learning to facilitate in Spanish so that we can really meet the needs across Colorado of communities who are like, oh my gosh, I need a Spanish course. So it's going well, and we're very excited to be able to share this. So thanks for your support. Let's see which slide. There we go. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Infant Toddler Specialist Trainer credentials. Renewals are due at the end of January, and I did receive a substantial amount, but not everybody renewed their credentials. So if you can please remind your trainers, the renewal that we're doing right now will be for them to be able to facilitate EQIT, trauma responsive care, the growing brain, or touch points, all of that in fiscal year 2027. So if you have classes that are starting this spring and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not credentialed, they are. Last year's credential allows them to facilitate through the end of fiscal year 2026. But I am getting ready to start send out my emails being like, oh, you've got a pending request, but you didn't finish this step. To renew their credentials, they will need to go into the PDIS and go through their credential applications. And the one that they need to select is Infant Toddler Specialist Trainer Renewal, because they're already trainers. So they are just renewing this credential. The second step is for them to complete their annual EQIT reflection. It is a link that is linked on the PDIS application. It's also linked right here in the slide, and it is the exact same link they used last year. So they just need to go there and complete that annual reflection. And if they have any questions, they can reach out to me, and I'm happy to help them through that. And let's pause and see if Eva's here yet. No, not yet. Okay, well, I'll do my best. She'll come in and clarify. How about that? So let me get to the right screen. we'll go to the beginning now so that we do it in the right order. Good news, we are planning for our statewide meeting. We want to let everybody know to start saving the dates. May 4th and 5th, 2026, we will be meeting in Denver at the Lowry Conference Center. We appreciate everybody's patience in waiting for us to find out if we were going to have funding for May to have our meeting and to move forward with things. And we are super excited to have this time together. Our keynote speaker will be Dr. Juana Bordas, and she has written the book Salsa, Soul, and Spirit. And we will also be doing a book study in conjunction with Statewide, so there will be more information coming soon. What you need to know as councils is that Eva's been looking through and seeing which of you set aside travel, etc. in your budgets. We'll do the same as we always do, where we have a room block for the hotels, and you will be responsible for reserving the rooms for your specialists and navigating how that works. It is just going to be 2 days this year instead of 3 because we are working with reduced funds, but we are really excited to have this opportunity to come together as an infant toddler specialist network. So, any questions, anything about any of the things that I've shared so far? Okay. Oh, yes, Charlie.
It's me.
It's you.
I'm wondering if this is something that we might be able to use Sarah's GAE line to cover.
Yeah, I don't know. And I believe there were some discussions about that. This is where it's really obvious that my job is training specialist and Eva's job is programs manager, because she does all the money stuff and I do all the people stuff.
Yep.
So
I'm going to reach out to Sarah and see if she can clarify, but just throwing it out.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be wonderful. I feel like there were some conversations once upon a time, but I'm not sure where that went, but that would be lovely if we could use some of that funding. Let's see. Oh, and a reminder. So one of the other requirements to be an infant toddler specialist trainer is that you have to take 6 hours of professional development with the EQ initiative. We offer many different ways to do that, but the easiest way is to come to Statewide for at least a day, and then you know that requirement has been met. So here we go. Yes, there were so many of you who met with us to talk about your early childhood councils, to talk about what is going well in your communities, and it has been phenomenal to hear the ways that you are coming together to support infants and toddlers. We've very much appreciated having this time to get to hear about things from your perspective, especially when we look at just how many different unique regions and places we're supporting across the state. And so it has been so beneficial for you to come to us and just be like, here are all the things about our community that we want you to know. Eva is working with ECLA and Megan to identify themes and get work groups set up. And so we are going to continue to follow through with this. So you will have opportunities to work through some of the pain points you identified and work together to see how we can move forward. And I know we still have a few more scheduled, but please also know, I think it's been so wonderful for Eva and I to get to talk with each of you, but it doesn't have to be something that we schedule like this. We are open and ready to talk with you about things. Please just send us an email or give us a call, because we're happy to chat anytime. There doesn't need to be like going this big purpose. Yeah, but we're glad for this purpose and we're excited. Okay, let's see. We are partnering with Teach Colorado. And this is a new partnership where we are hoping to catch individuals who are new to the field and are still assistant teachers or who haven't taken any professional development yet. And if we can catch them early, we can help them partner with Teach Colorado and get registered for them. and then they will pay the enrollment fee to take EQIT. And so we're really excited. We are working on how do we get this information out to you at the councils? How do we get this information to PDIS so that hopefully folks are connecting with Teach Colorado before they register for their courses in the PDIS. So there will be more information coming out. But it's a very specific sub bracket of folks who will qualify, but we're really excited to have this opportunity to support folks in getting and professional development and getting this training of special recognition. So yes, we will be collaborating with the PDIS team and we'll get more information out as we keep working through it. And I'm going to pause here and see if there's any more questions because this is all Eva's stuff. And so I hope I'm doing it justice. Great. Nothing yet. Okay. So, oh, yep, here you go. Here's our flyer. This is what it'll look like. So we're hoping this will make it easier that folks can just scan the QR code and get started. And it does, as you can see, it covers many things. So not just the EQIT training, but it also will cover the cost of the background checks and fingerprinting, and also any training fees that new staff might have as they are joining a site. So definitely reach out to Eva or reach out to Elizabeth Cordova at Teach Colorado because she's been so great about answering questions and guiding us through this process. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Charlie, I might need your help with this. When we are sending our documents out, which I think is this week or early next week. Oh, it says right there, next week. Our EQIT documents will be in there also. And the documents that we will need to be submitted for EQ are the statement of work and the budget template and our Smartsheet form for budget. And the Smartsheet form is a little bit different this year. We're working to minimize what you guys have to do on your end. So you will not have to submit a course plan with this. You will just submit budget information, and we hope that reduces the lift on your end. And I don't know, Charlie, is that a thorough? Are there other things that we say about this part?
No, that all makes sense. I don't think the process is different than previous years in any way. So
Awesome. Okay.
Bonnie
Bonnie,
might
I
have
saw your
something.
hand. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of clarification. The statement of work language, we're going to add it to that universal statement of work that I talked about earlier. So you don't have to worry about turning in that document. We're just working on some formatting stuff and we'll get that added in. So you'll see that pop up in the link very shortly.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Bonnie. Yeah, and I apologize, friends, for questions about this. Eva will absolutely be your contact, but I'll make sure we get her. Oh, well, Charlie's already got her email on the slides if you need to reach out to her. Let's see. Woohoo! And then that was it. Those were all of our things. So thanks for having us, and I will be here in case anything else comes up. You're welcome to put something in the chat and answer what I can.
Thank you, Leah. Sorry to put you on the spot like that, but you did wonderfully.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the contracting process is the same as it's always been. I don't think there's anything too different about it. So if you've done it before, you should be good. And if not, I'm sure Eva would be happy to work with you. All right. Terry, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Yay. Awesome. Thanks so much for making
And
it
so
work.
is Angela.
Hi, Angela.
I'm going to share my screen. Sorry, trying to get into slideshow mode. Here we go. So hi, everybody. Haven't been here in a while to present to you all. It's great to be back. I'm here with Angela Ben-Zechary, and we're going to talk about CDEC's Family Friend and Neighbor Caregiving Program. Now, I think there's probably a lot of you who already know a lot about this because you're actively involved with FFN, but maybe some of it will be new to some of you. So Angela's going to start us off to talk about, just to level set and talk about what, okay, why isn't my screen advancing? There we go. To talk about what is an FFN. Let's just review that. And then the department has two main initiatives going on, the Training and Support Program and the FFN Advisory Council. And we'll talk about those.
All right. Thank you, Terry. Yes. Hi, everybody. Angela Ben-Zechary, Strategy and System Leadership Unit Manager. I know you've seen me in a couple of other capacities, but wasn't sure if everyone knew that the FFN program also sat with our team, and wanted to just kind of run you through the history of this project. If it's been one of those, as Terry was kind of mentioning, that you've kind of heard a little bit about, but maybe haven't been able to keep up with, and share with you just a few of the resources in the remaining time period that we have this programming going. So this is a pretty standard slide deck for us. And so again, I think most folks know what our FFN community is legally able to do, and that is to serve 4 or fewer children in a single setting, and no more than 2 of those can be under 2. And we're looking at opportunities to better serve this community of providers within our workforce across the state. So we can go on to the next slide. So if you're trying to remember, when or how did this program start? We wanted to remind you that Senate Bill 22-213, which was passed in 2022, provided SLFRF funding to launch this set of programming. And then it was refinanced in 2024. If you're curious about some of these legislative semantics, into what we call our SLFRF cash fund, so that we had a slightly less stringent funding bucket for this rather than that SLFRF. And again, semantics on this, that just has to do with some Treasury reporting to our federal partners as to why they kind of switched us over into a cash fund that was state-based. So this legislation gave CDEC the authority to establish the first ever FFN Advisory Council, and I believe we are the first in the nation to have an advisory group like this, to do some more outreach to our FFN community, and learn a little bit about how we can better integrate FFN providers into some of our programming, how to think creatively on any funding streams that can be applied, and how we can support families with accessing care. So from there, we also were granted funding to create the FFN Training and Support Program, and this would include the opportunity to subcontract with different training groups throughout the state, including some, I think, several early childhood councils are subgrantees of this, to provide training supports and materials grants out to FFN providers. So, sorry, I'm getting a funny message here. There we go. There was some audio issues, so hopefully that is fixed. And then we just wanted to set a reminder of, traditionally we have not been able to engage as much with FFN providers across the state due to limitations in our funding, but we've generally been able to acknowledge that FFN are an important part of care for families across the state and for our economy, and they are a valued part of our workforce. So just wanted to keep that in the back of our minds as even though they haven't been a primary recipient of a lot of our services in the past, this has always been true, and we are excited to embark upon this programming. So we can go on to the next slide. Again, a little bit about the timeline and history of this project. So in June of 2022, this was officially signed into law.
And then after several months of writing up the position description and going through our hiring process, we were able to hire our first FFN administrator in January of 23, which set into motion the design for the programming that we have today. And so throughout 2023, we had to go through a solicitation process to provide an intermediary for the training programs materials grants, as well as facilitation support for our FFN Advisory Council. And we were able to launch that advisory council in December of 23, and the vendor was selected for the training programs in spring of 24. And again, if you're not familiar with who that is the Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition. They are a trusted service provider for FFN in many communities across the state, and they have been able to help with outreach and TA to a lot of smaller nonprofit organizations that have been serving FFN that maybe the state hasn't had relationships in the past with. So this has been an excellent kind of outreach and learning opportunity for us at the state as well. From there, they then created a sub RFP to find training programs across the state. And that all was concluded for the first round in fall of 2024. They also had a second round to bring in additional grantees in spring of 2025. And we've been working on supporting those training programs ever since. Then Terry will talk a little bit about this later. We had our FFN Advisory Council recommendations from the first, let's call it year and a half of their Advisory Council meetings published in spring of 2025 as well. So we've been pretty busy with this project over the last several years. And then our current funding ends in December of 26. So we have, for all intents and purposes, about 10 months left of this programming as we know it today. You can go to the next slide. So just to give a little bit of background on the training and support program, as I was mentioning, this was an opportunity to extend scholarships towards training programs for our unlicensed providers across the state, considered FFN, as well as technical assistance to access state funding streams, such as how to become qualified exempt. I'm sure folks have been aware that there's also a project around decoupling CACFP funding. And again, Terry will talk about that in a little bit. But that technical assistance can go through a wide array of things, as well as the care worker tax credit. So TA, as it stands, is kind of a broad definition. And again, those training programs, we're also thinking about, can some of those programs go through the training alignment process? Should an FFN provider want to become a teacher or open a licensed family childcare home? We want to make sure that that professional development is honored towards some of their requirements to do that. So it's been a learning curve, and we're really excited to see the transformative work that is happening there. And as I mentioned, there are materials grants, and those are able to be up to a value of $950. We can go to the next slide. I realize this is on that slide. So the FFN materials grants can go up to $950, and that does include the opportunity for FFN providers to engage in coaching. So some of that value, that $950 value, can be used towards coaching hours. So if that is something of interest, that's still an allowable cost. And I would recommend folks look at the round 1 and round 2 training program list and see if if you're interested in working with any FFN providers, that you can kind of do some outreach to those sub vendors and see if there are any FFN that are interested in coaching with you as a council. So kind of backtracking on that, there are over 20 sub-grantees, including folks like Valley Settlement, Mile High United Way, Early Milestones, and as I mentioned, several early childhood councils. So we really appreciate this opportunity for you all to work with FFN across your communities. And again, this is a learning opportunity for the state to understand what demand is like across FFN providers, what types of trainings they are interested in, and how they are providing care in their communities. So if you're curious about that reach, I think I'm getting a little bit of feedback. If everyone could just make sure they are on mute, that would be helpful. And And if we can go to the next slide, I can share a little bit about the reach of this project so far. So since we were able to launch the training programs in 2024, we've reached over 3,400 FFN providers across the state, which is really exciting. And that may mean they did a kind of one-time training or a training series, culminating in that materials grant award as well. There have been 153 trainings provided so far throughout that process. And I think that number is as of fall 2025. So we're still, we can be increasing that number pretty quick here as we're getting into the first quarter of 2026. The total number of training hours has been over 2,000. So those are really exciting numbers to me that provided is quite large, as well as the number of languages that have been represented in these trainings, which just seems to be, a little more breadth than we've been able to in some of our traditional training programs. And that is, again, an area where we might be able to learn from this model and see how we can expand that to other areas of CDEX programming and our partnerships with councils and other organizations statewide that provide training. So again, very exciting stuff so far. So from there, I'm actually going to hand it over to Terry, and she can talk to you a little bit about the progress of the Advisory Council.
Yes, thanks, Angela. As she mentioned, the Advisory Council was created in legislation. That's why we're the first ever. The goal is for the council to advise the department, as well as legislators and other organizations, about the needs of FFN providers and how our policies or regulations or funding streams could benefit the FFN community. I'm stuck. There we go. I will drop this in the chat, this slide deck in the chat, so you have access to this report. After about a year or so of work, the Advisory Council came up with the recommendations report. In part, it's to the legislature. They would like to see the programs continue, and they would need funding from the legislature to do that. But they also talk about promoting, supporting, and pursuing strategic initiatives, which I'll talk about in a second. Participate in initiatives to foster trust with the community and enhance and broaden professional development opportunities. So this report is available if you want to take a look. Speaking of making programs accessible, one of the charges in the legislation that created the council was to the department to make programs more accessible to FFN. And there was another piece of legislation that asked us to do a study to see if we could unlink CCAP from the Adult and Child Food Program. It's called the Colorado Food Program here. Right now, a provider has to accept CCAP in order to get CACFP funding. And that means you have to be licensed or qualified exempt. So we're trying to figure out how can we make this program available to FFN who will remain unlicensed. And we're doing it. We have an ongoing working group. We are going to use the example of our care worker tax credit attestation form, which is in PDIS, as a way to inform how FFN could sign up for this program. We're working in collaboration with Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, because it's actually their program. They're the ones that run CACFP. It's federally funded by USDA. We will be doing a technology enhancement of PDIS, we'll be doing outreach and technical assistance to community organizations to help us recruit FFN folks to take advantage of this program. And in terms of a launch date, we were hoping for the fall. Not sure that's going to happen. Depends on some legal things and some funding things. But this is just one example of us trying to make programs more accessible to FFN. And I already explained that. And then if you are interested in this topic of FFN, may I point you to a report from the Donald K. Foundation called Bright Spots. They highlight several organizations who are doing FFN work, including our very own Early Childhood Council of Yuma, Washington, and Kit Carson counties. I want to say Boulder's in there too, but I don't think so. But Boulder should be in there because they're doing amazing work. A lot of you are. And again, if you click on this Word report, you can pull up the report from the foundation. Are there any questions or comments? Oh, thanks, Angela. Does anyone want to share about FFN work they're doing?
Well, I will just say that ECPAC has one of the grants through the Colorado Parent Coalition, and we're actually seeing some good success. So we're super excited about that. We've engaged, I mean, for us, it was kind of a newer program, and we've engaged, I think, close to like 25 FFN providers with so far 12 of them at least taking 3 trainings and doing a TA session, which makes them eligible for the materials grant. So our goal is to get to more like 15 to 18. So we're almost there, but yeah, we've had good success with it. It's been a lot of work to kind of uplift it, but I think we've had more success than we've had in the past in trying to engage FFN providers. So that's been great.
What do you attribute that newer success to, Lisa?
A couple things. I think one is the tax credit has been a great way to bring folks in to want to talk about FFN work. So I think that's really helped. And then additionally, we've had a couple of folks who've just helped us spread the word. So like all of a sudden their sister's coming or their neighbor's coming. Nicole, I know you're on here as well as Corey, so feel free to chime in because you're running the program. I'm just looking at the data and paying the invoices. But yeah, so I think that's been helpful. So word of mouth. We did some pop-up events, and so we started the year by creating flyers and going to events and handing those out. So I think that's been helpful. But yeah, I think we're trying a lot of different things this time to really get out there. We're on Nextdoor, we're on social media, we're on Right by Text. So those avenues have helped a little bit bring folks in.
Great.
But yeah, the tax credit definitely is a nice incentive to be like, yeah, I want to talk to you about that. And we've had one grandma who's taken every single training. Everyone. She's taken my
Super.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share? Well, we appreciate you embracing this community as we have. I don't think Angela mentioned, but it might have been on one of the slides, that over 50% of Colorado's kids under age 6 are cared for by FFN providers. So it behooves us to engage them to provide high quality programming for our kiddos and support our families. So thanks for having us.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Angela. All righty. And I think that does it for State TA Day today. Anyone else have any Final questions, comments, anything like that? Cool. Well, we are moving into contract season, our favorite time of year. So, just make sure that you're in communication with your QRIS coordinator with any questions. We're hoping to make this a really seamless contracting season. And hopefully by this time next month, we will have all of our contracts in and getting processed, and we'll be prepared for next year. Yeah, I know it's been a crazy year so far, 2026. Make sure you are taking care of yourself, taking care of each other. We're here to support any way that we can. So just whatever you need, reach out. And thank you so much for all that you do. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. Enjoy that sun. Thanks, everybody.